You're listening to the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast. This is the podcast for ambitious entrepreneurs who understand that exponential business growth isn't achieved through traditional business tactics alone, but through personal development, the ultimate leverage point to scale businesses beyond conventional limits. Hosted by Erika Ferenczi, featuring lessons from the Practical, Profitable Mindset program, created by R. John Robbins, Alejandra Leibovich, Erika, and Oscar Ferenczi. And here's your host, Erika Ferenczi.
Welcome to today's episode, where we will talk about using truth as the path to freedom and profitability. On our past episodes, we were talking about numbers, budgets, and business strategy. But with today's episode, we will bring it all together to the heart of personal transformation, changing from the inside out. This week's episode will take us deeper into ourselves, taking us beyond tactics and into something far more foundational, our truth. Because truth unlocks power, and truth is indispensable for leadership. When self-expression increases, personal power always follows. So today's first teaching will be, how is that not telling the truth creates suffering? When we will hold what we feel, what we want, or know to be true, we turn our minds into prisons, filled with stories, fears, and self-betrayal. And over time, that internal pressure leaks into our businesses, our relationships, and our health. Second, lying to ourselves is worse than lying to others. Don't get me wrong, both are not okay, but unfortunately, we lie to ourselves more often than not. How are you supposed not to lie to others when you are lying to yourself? When we ignore what we truly want, what isn't working, or when we are afraid to admit what is true, we lose clarity. And without clarity, leadership and profitability both suffer. The reality is that truth will unlock your power, because when self-expression increases, personal power will follow. Telling the truth without blame, without drama, will always create freedom. It will allow better decisions, thinner boundaries, and stronger leadership. Truth is not about being right. It's about being real. So this week's work is simple, but not easy. And this week, I will be guiding you on this episode as one of the co-creators and facilitators of the Practical, Profitable Mindset program. Also an entrepreneur with a specialty in business and leadership. I have spent the last 20 years of my life helping people scale their businesses, transform their teams, and increase their profits. So join me for today's episode. This is one of the keys to profitability. Definitely the key to freedom and the key to get out of suffering in general. And when I say suffering, can be sadness, anxiety, worry, fear, and all of those things obviously are impacting way more than you realize the profitability of your business, more than you realize the experience that you have in your life, more than you realize the quality of your life and obviously the quality of your destiny if you continue to live it like that. So what we're going to do today is that we are going to learn a new level of telling the truth. I am always amazed at how much problems, profitability problems, hiring problems, firing problems, productivity problems, AR problems, sales problems, you just name it, do we get into when we are not used to be comfortable with telling the truth. And when you learn to tell the truth, then you become more profitable. You become more free and you become more overall, more happy and definitely less sick. If there is any physical sickness that you have, if there is any emotional issues that you have, lack of sleep, anxiety, anything like that, most likely those are linked to not being able to tell the truth. Obviously, there might be other reasons. There might be, mechanical issues. There might be physical issues. There might be biochemical issues. But once we take care of those things, telling the truth is linked to a lot of problems. And every single person lies. We all learn to lie when we are little children to belong. We are taught that being fully alive and being the full expression of who we are is not okay and it is not safe. We are sometimes shamed, sometimes reprimanded, sometimes spanked, sometimes left because we tell the truth, or we are the full expression of ourselves. And because of that, we learn to lie. Now, the biggest, most difficult, most damaging part of lying is when you lie to yourselves. When you do not pay attention, either because of unawareness or you just got used to not paying attention to what you want, to what you feel, to what you would say if you were telling the truth, and to the reality of what is happening inside of you. So you lie to yourself and then you lie to others. And that creates a lot of internal turmoil that it is expressed on you lashing out to yourself, lashing out to your employees, getting frustrated with your clients, et cetera, et cetera. I've come to realize that what happens with your mind, with our minds, is that in most cases, and the least amount of personal development work that you've done, the more this is present. But in most cases, our minds is a jail of bullshit. Your mind is a jail of bullshit. Because when you withhold from other people, when you're not telling them the truth about what you think and what you want and who you are and what you've done and what you want to do, if you were truly, truly free, one of the most difficult questions that I had to face at some point is, if you were truly, truly free, if you were not going to hurt anybody, if nobody was going to get angry at you, if nobody was going to abandon you, if nothing bad was going to happen, what would you truly, truly want to do? If you were truly, truly free, what would you do right now? What would you truly want to do? For those of you that are asking, you don't understand what being truly free means. The longer that you don't tell the truth, the more you're going to stay on that jail of bullshit. And why don't we tell the truth? Because we're afraid of the consequences of telling the truth. And we're afraid of upsetting somebody or somebody getting angry at us. So what we do instead is we hurt ourselves. We don't express what we truly want. We don't feel what we truly feel. We don't say what we truly mean. And we're all walking on a consistent bed of eggshells. And when that happens, usually you're going to get angry. You get angry because, you're not doing what you want and you're afraid and you have to self-sacrifice. And you will either express that anger towards the world or you're going to express it towards yourself. I was talking to a member recently and we were, figuring out what's happening in their business, whatever. This person has been, quote unquote, stuck at a revenue level for 3 or 4 years. And for the life of them, they can't overcome or surpass that level. And in that conversation, what we figured out is that this person is doing this to get back at, their parents that were not necessarily great with this person. So you will either express that to other people, or you're going to express it to yourself. And one of the worst problems that we live with in society nowadays is that everybody is trying to be normal. Everyone's trying to be normal, and I don't know if it's right or if it's wrong, but I've always told my kids, for God's sake, do not try to be normal, because most people are fucked up. Just the fact that most people are doing X is really a great indication that you should not be doing that same thing. I was looking for some statistics. The average American household income is $70,000 a year. The average American works around 34 hours per week. The average American is 18 pounds overweight. The average American spends 2 hours in social media per day. That is 730 hours per year. That is 30 full days per year just lost scrolling social media. Simply verbally report to another person what you notice in front of you. Just report the facts. Speak the truth of what is in your mind in the present moment. In order for you to tell the truth or speak the truth, you need to first become aware of what your truth is. And some of you will have more trouble with that than others, because you spent so much energy and so much time trying to pretend that the truth is not the truth. And you're wasting your lives away. When you get more used at telling the truth, which is your truth, by the way, and it is only the truth today, because the truth changes. When circumstances change, your truth will change. There are some universal truths, obviously, that don't change, right? Gravity is gravity, and there are some universal truths that don't change, but your truth will change. Certainly what you want to do, who you are, what is good for you, what you want to do, where would you like to go, who would you like to be with, will change over time as you change and as your preferences change and as you experience life. So this is when you start telling the truth, you become more, your self-expression goes up. And when your self-expression goes up, then your power gets unleashed. So that's our assignment this week. We are going to tell the truth. So what's your question?
Good morning, Erika.
Morning.
Yeah, I don't know why I was struggling with it. Like you said, if you're truly free, I was having trouble like picturing that, because I think I look at it like I'm seeing it through the filter of like my responsibility to my family and things like that. Everything I do, I sort of like look at it. I mean, that's my choice, is to, make sure that they're put before myself. And I'm like, well, like what would I do? Like travel the world or something if it weren't for them? Or
I don't know.
So, but I don't know if that's what you meant. Like,
what I meant is for you to be honest with yourself. You could say, what I would really like to do is to travel the world and have no attachments and have no business and have no wife and have no kids, just to be free. You could say that. And you could still say, but I also love my wife and my kids and I am choosing to do X. That's okay. As long as you're honest with yourself about what you would like to do. And there's a lot of people that are happy with their lives, and that's okay. So what the important thing of this exercise is to tell the truth as it is. And on top of the truth, you can make choices. And you make choices based on your values. And that's great.
Yeah, I think that's it. I make that choice. If I just left and traveled the world, I would be the first person. I would just be thinking about them the whole time. I do travel a lot anyway, but it's really hard for me to picture. Like, I look at it like being truly free is just concentrating only on myself and nothing else. And that's
No.
hard for me to picture without, my
Truly free means that you do what you want based on what your choices are. And your choices can include other people or not. You are truly free. Maybe you've forgotten, but you are truly free. And within that freedom, you can make certain choices. But at every day, we are making the choice to give our attention, our time, our love, our money, our lives to certain things or people or situations. And as long as that's what you want to do, that's fine. That's perfect. The problem is when you don't want to do that anymore and you pretend you do. That's all I'm asking, for you to give you the space to figure out what your truth is and then make the choice about what you want to do. It's fine. Whatever choice you make is fine, as long as you are not lying to yourself.
Yeah. I had such a hard time picturing myself outside of that framework. So it is my choice, and it is
Outside of which framework?
just like my family comes first, and I wouldn't I would, sacrifice myself for them. And I don't think
that's not a sacrifice. That's a problem. When you change something of higher value to you for something of lower value to you, that's not sacrifice. That's an exchange of value. If somebody came today and said, either you give me all of your possessions or I kill your daughter, I wouldn't think about it in an instant. They can take everything. Now, that can have more monetary value in money, but for me, there's nothing more important than the life of my children.
I'm the same way. I would, yeah, of course.
And it's a choice. It's a choice. Listen, we're not savages, right? I can say, well, I wouldn't say this, but there can be a person that would say, if I was truly free, I will just go out on the street and have sex with whomever was in front of me, because that's what I really want. That doesn't mean that they're going to go do it. That means that they are acknowledging what they want. Now, based on that, they can decide to, just be faithful to their husbands, wives, whatever, and not do any of that. But what is important is we tell the truth. When you are let's say that you're in the office and you see that a person is not performing and you're frustrated about it and you say nothing, then you're hurting yourself. Now, I didn't say go and scream at them and be disrespectful. I said, sit them down and let's have a conversation and let's talk about the facts. These are the expectations. This is where you are. Help me understand what's going on, because when you don't keep up with your part of the deal, these are the consequences. The only thing I'm asking is for you to tell the truth first to yourself and then to others.
And what about a lie of admission? Like if you don't speak up, like if you see somebody saying something, you could correct them, but at the same time, that's going to cause an issue and you just remain silent.
What about that?
Nobody asked you directly. I mean, how do you feel that it's our obligation to step up and say that truth, even though it wasn't solicited?
I think it depends on the situation. I think you need to use your judgment. I mean, my daughter was telling me the other day that this woman went into a parking lot and saw a man, fist punching some dogs. So she could have said, nobody asked me. This is not my job. I'll just walk forward and try to ignore it. That's how we perpetuate crime, by the way, because we get numbed to the things that truly matter. Well, this particular woman did not do that. Stayed in the parking lot, called 911, brought in the cops. The guy got arrested. and the pups were saved. So I don't know. The question is, I can't give you one answer for every situation in your life. What is important is that you stop and think, who am I going to be right now? Who am I going to be right now? Who am I? Am I the person that does something about the things that matter? Or I am the person that just doesn't? And in some cases, it will be one answer, and in some cases would be the other answer. The answer is less important than your questioning. The questioning is what matters, because then you are facing truth in the eye.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You know, the other day I was talking to one of you guys, and this particular person has been married for many, many years. And by the way, you would be just amazed at how often this happens. And they have an intimate life that is almost non-existent with their spouse. And they were telling me, what do I do? Or asking me. And I was like, I don't know. What do you want to do? As long as you acknowledge that your needs are not being met, and you acknowledge what you would like to have instead, and you speak that out to your spouse, then you can the choice that you make afterwards is going to be your choice. It's not going to be my choice. It's going to be your choice. And whatever you choose is fine. What is most important is that you speak the truth. What damages people is not telling the truth, not the choice they make. The choice they make is just the choice they make. And the problem is that everybody is trying to make the right choice. Well, good news for you guys. There's not a right choice. There is just a choice. It is just what you do. Now, if it works for you, perfect. Keep going down that path. If that didn't give you the result that you wanted, try again. But we're so neurotic about being right that we stay frozen. And that's really, really unproductive. How many of you, I mean, every single time that we go to a workshop, I have people, several, that you have employees that are not keeping up with their KPIs. You know how much that is costing you, and you're saying nothing. It's really unproductive. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think you did. I mean, that's really the two things I think I really have to think about is what that means is in terms of my choices. And I think the truth is I've already made that choice. And I'm uncomfortable imagining a world where I didn't make that choice. And then the other
Have to.
Right.
So this is what I want you to do. Today, I want you to pick up one truth that you have not acknowledged in the past. Just one, whatever, about your weight, your associate, your receptionist, your finances, your leadership, your management, your sexuality, what you eat. I don't care what it is. One, just one. Look at the one truth that you have not been wanting to acknowledge in the past and be honest about it. You can be honest about to yourself. You can write it out. You can tell it to your best friend. You can tell it to the stranger in the street. Just tell the truth on one thing in your life. That's it.
Okay. I can do that.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Erika, morning. I'd never made the connection before between lies and health. I spent 3 years pretending that the business was doing well because I equate success with money. And I feel like if I can display money, everyone will think that I'm doing well. And it was years when my husband was away at seminary. He left, he stopped being a lawyer to become a priest. And he went to seminary and I had the 2 kids and I was managing the firm remotely for the first time. And I mean, I did so many financial aerobics to pretend that everything was okay. And I felt like I was carrying not only our family on our shoulders, but my parents. the whole staff and their families. And I just kept lying and lying. And I got sick. I almost lost my life. And ever since, I've been trying to do less, number one. So when you asked about freedom, I just want to stop being the source for everyone. I am exhausted even now. And I do feel a freedom when I admit to my husband that I don't have it. I don't have it. It's funny. I have a Monday morning meeting with the staff. And this is a good story because things are better. And it's better because I'm being honest with my husband. I mean, I remortgaged our house when he was in seminary and I didn't tell him. That's how bad things got. And I almost lost my marriage too. So in this Monday morning meeting with my staff today, I said to them, this week, we are going to bring in $60,000. I didn't tell them, look, we need to bring in the $60,000, but I said, this is a target. And next Monday, we're going to be celebrating $60,000 because I need other people to share that. I know what I need, but I can't do it. I'm tired of doing it on my own. That's where I am.
Yeah. I'm glad that you made the connection between lying or withholding the truth, right? Which is a form of lying. But sometimes we actively lie and we say that something that is white is black when we know that is white. Sometimes we just withhold the truth. And depending on how much shame and guilt you have based on what you're withholding, then it's more toxic. And literally every source of anxiety, depression, frustration, anger, and all of these level 2 emotions that we feel have to do to an extent with lack of self-expression or not telling the truth. Because what I'm not talking about you, right? But I was talking to a person the other day. It's like, what I really want to do is to tell my mom she can't come to my house. Because every time that she comes to my house, she criticizes my kids and criticizes my husband and rolls her eyes because I am too rich or I am too spoiled. What I really want to say is, no, you can't come to my home. But what I really do is I smile and let her into our home. And now I'm frustrated because she's in my home and she's being toxic. Right? So that's, I'm glad that you saw that connection. And although you've done great strides towards the truth, this exercise for this week still applies. Find something that you have not said out loud or admitted to yourself or to others and go have that conversation either with you, with yourself, with whomever. Acknowledge the truth and talk about the truth.
It's still the money. It's still the money. And I can tell my daughter gave me her Christmas list. And I mean, she's got $800 pairs of shoes on there, $1,500 purse. And every year, her wants become more expansive. And I do it. I find the money somewhere. And I do it while there are bills left unpaid. Whereas I need to be honest and say, this is going to have to wait until I settle some debt. I just don't know how to say no because I don't want anyone to think that I'm not successful.
Well, you will have to sit her down and teach your daughter a very important life lesson, which is that when we are adults, part of our maturity means that we have to make choices. And if you don't teach her that lesson, just think that someday she might go bankrupt because you didn't teach her the lesson. There is a great value to self-regulation. And we can want things and choose not to do them because they are not the right things to do for us in this moment. And that's an invaluable lesson to teach a kid, which is self-regulation and delayed gratification. Because when you do not teach a kid delayed gratification, you're reducing their capacity for frustration. you are reducing their ability to feel frustration. And when a kid is not equipped, has not been taught to manage frustration. I mean, they express it in so many ways. You know, they can't hold a job. They won't, it's going to be really hard for them to go through adversity. They are going to think that everything should be their way all the time. They become immature. They don't mature. So I really want to invite you to see it as your responsibility to help your kid understand frustration and choices, and help your kid understand that we can't have everything we want instantaneously. And should she want her $800 shoes, which is okay to want, do not tell her that is bad or whatever. It's okay to want an $800 shoes. Ask her, what is she willing to do to get it? Is she willing to get a job? Is she willing to work in the summer? Is she willing to have a yard sale? What is she willing to do? Because the other thing is you need to teach your kids the value of making a dime. And there's no shame on that.
The shameful part is she has a job. She has a job and she has a house.
How old is she?
She's 23.
Okay, then she should buy her shoes. It's time for you to be the one to provide those things for her.
Mm-hmm.
Stop enabling your daughter. That's a bigger problem. She's an adult.
Like, I can feel my agreeing with you.
Yeah. The question is, what you should be honest with yourself about is that you're using your daughter's life for you to feel good about yourself.
Whoa.
Because really what you're not willing to do is to feel bad about yourself, because in your mind, there's recorder playing saying, if I can't give everything to everyone, I am not good enough. And you're hurting your children in the process. So please let your children live their own lives, and you live yours, and you focus on you and they focus on them. And what you give for Christmas or how much you spend is your choice, not yours, not theirs. You know, the other day, like 6 months ago, I told Oscar we're going to do this. And he was like, how come you're going to do this? I said, we're going to sit all 4 kids on a dinner table, and we're going to tell them that we're not leaving them a dime. Not a dime. Everything we have is ours. We worked for it. We created it. We're going to do whatever the fuck we want with it. You need to create yours. And if we decide, for whatever reason, that anything of what we have is yours, we will make that decision when time comes. But don't walk around feeling entitled to my shit. You create your shit. You need help, you can ask me. You know, when my kid was very little, I said, if you ask me for money, if you ask me, because, you know, I would give him $5, and he said, can you give me 3? And I would give him 5, and he wouldn't give me the 2 back. I was like, where's my $2? You asked me for 3. Where are the $2? Right? So if you need something, you're more than okay to ask. But it is going to be my choice to decide if I give it or not. And you're not going to make me run for it. And if you ask me for a loan, you pay me back. And you're going to need to tell me when and how much. And you keep up with your word, because you ask for a loan. Otherwise, you need to ask me for me to lend you, to just give you money. And then we can have that conversation. But you're asking me for a loan. It's a loan. So be truthful to the words that you use, and the words that you keep the people surrounding you responsible for their own words. Okay? Stop enabling people. Listen, we all do our fair share, okay? I do the same in many ways. But let's become aware, because removing responsibility from people is abuse. Responsibility is a gift. Because when they learn to be responsible for themselves, they become free. Same with your staff, by the way. You remove responsibility, you're abusing them. Okay, I'm moving on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome back. Let's recap the heart of this week's lesson. First, we learned that withholding the truth is costly. Whether in business, health, or relationships, unspoken truths create stress, resentment, and stagnation. The longer they stay hidden, the heavier they become. Second, we were reminded that truth begins with awareness. Before you can speak the truth, you must notice it and know it yourself. How do you actually feel? What do you really want? What are you tolerating that no longer works for you? Truth is not fixed. It evolves as you do. But awareness is always a first step. And third, we saw that telling the truth is always an act of leadership. It doesn't mean being reckless or hurtful. It means stating facts, honoring boundaries, and taking responsibility without trying to control how other people react. Because when leaders tell the truth, they create trust, momentum, and real change. This lesson isn't about confrontation. It's about liberation. Because when truth replaces fear, growth becomes inevitable. And that is what we want. And that is exactly what we do at the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast. And now it's your turn to take action. Stay healthy, stay hungry, and stay focused. We will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast. We encourage you to take action on it today. Share what you've learned with another entrepreneur. Sign up for our newsletter to get bonus content you won't get anywhere else at exponentialentrepreneur.com and subscribe to the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast to receive the next episode. Until next time, keep breaking through limiting beliefs and growing exponentially.